What is up, Bitcoin Radio? It's your man, Joe Blackburn, and we are here for another episode of WBTC, where Bitcoin lives, Bitcoin Radio, the Bitcoin Hour. You know, I'm really enjoying those names that I've come up with. But, you know, as I love to sit here in front of the microphone, talk about Bitcoin, talk about crypto, talk about the blockchain, talk about you, the crypto community, I oftentimes have to remind myself that I need to talk to another audience. And that is the audience that's not in yet. Because one day, because this goes on, I mean, you know, where this is recorded, this becomes an episode. And when people search, and I've actually been reached out to several times, especially over the last week and a half or so, and I'm pretty sure that probably has to do and coincides with maybe the Thanksgiving discussions that we've all been so familiar with. But, you know, about how, you know, to explain this space, or how, if you're brand new to the space, how you should like kind of soak it in. And I was posed an interesting question over Thanksgiving. I may have even brought this up in one of the other episodes, is that, you know, somebody asked me, like, Joe, how do I understand this though? Like, I see what you're saying, I see what other people are saying, but how do I really, you know, what do I compare it to? And that's a really hard question to answer, because first off, that's relative to the individual. But secondly, you know, I've been in the space for so long now, and so have you probably, you listening. And because of that, we're so used to speaking about things a certain way. And so, you know, I continue to go back to, we have to make this space more simple for this to ever be adopted. And, you know, that's kind of the privilege I have today of having this conversation with Fred Krueger from Lynx. He's the CEO and co-founder. And we're going to get into Lynx obviously here in a minute, but, you know, he's got a lot more to add than just, you know, what he's done, which is awesome in the first place with what Lynx is doing. He's also been in the space long enough, and he's got a really large grasp of a lot of the things that are going on, and why they, maybe even why they're going on like this. And, you know, he's smart enough to listen, and he's humble enough to keep his head down, and all the things that he's accomplished, and continue to make the space better. So obviously we're going to bring him on here shortly, but, you know, to kind of tie together what I'm getting at here is that take this opportunity when you're listening to Fred to really listen and pay attention to how he explains this stuff, because it's another tool for your arsenal, another tool for your toolbox to be able to really make this space make sense to people who aren't in. And ultimately, if we're really ambassadors to the blockchain, to crypto, to Bitcoin, you know, we have to be prepared to be able to have sensible and realistic conversations with folks. And that doesn't mean shilling, you have to buy this because it's going up. That means, hey, what benefits does this have? Anyways, we'll get in all that soon with Fred. And, you know, please, again, you know, I'm really thankful to have this stage to be able to have this conversation, folks. If you have ideas for the show, if you want to come on the show, let me know. I'm always open to ideas. I want to give, you know, as always, a big shout out to the Mouse Belt team. Patrick killing it over there, man. They got some big news coming out. I can't wait to share that, and all the folks involved. And obviously, you've seen Jim step in, and he's been co-hosting that live show with me. Big shout out to Josh and Ashley and Charles with social media. He's doing a great job too. If you guys need any help with something, let me know. I'm happy to connect, folks. But anyways, let's get moving on. I'm going to bring Fred on now. All right, Fred, welcome to the show, man. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
It's a pleasure to have you on, man. It really is. I've been looking forward to this conversation for some time. You know, as you heard the introduction here, Fred, I'm as excited as I am to have you on. I'm also really excited to learn something from you. And we spoke a little bit before we got on camera here and started recording. But, you know, I've been really impressed with who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. And I think the intent is as special as anything else. But before we get into the meat, potatoes, everything, let's hear a little bit about you, man. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Well, I'm about 2 years into crypto. I'm a tech guy. I have founded and sold 9 companies. Total value of all my exits is $500 million. So I've done well for myself. I think I'm pretty good at spotting opportunities, and I'm very persistent. So, you know, I think a lot of people who entered crypto who sort of got interested in 2017 are no longer around. Their projects are no longer around. They've sort of lost patience. And my thing, I find this whole space it's like a puzzle that needs to be solved, you know. And I'm very persistent. I'm a marathon runner, you know, so to speak. But I'm very good at sort of longer problems. You know, I have a PhD from Stanford in math. I'm good at sort of thinking of these problems for years, you know, and try to find a solution. And I feel like we're going to solve this problem of crypto as applies to apps in particular. That's
Sure.
The problem that I'm really trying to solve with Lynx.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, and Fred, in that context, and obviously, again, we're gonna get into a lot of this, folks. So I don't want to make this sound like it's quick. It's a quick answer because it's not. But Fred, you've been in, you saw what crypto was doing. But let's even give me that moment when this PhD graduate from Stanford who's bought and sold and created and entrepreneured himself into a certain part of a life. I mean, you're as you said, you've done well for yourself. What makes you consider even jumping into this space? Like, how did you see this, and like, what was that moment where you're like, hey, I'm going to give this a shot?
Well, I think the thing for me that kind of got interesting was when Ethereum really came out, right? Because it became not only about whether you should just buy Bitcoin and whether that's your retirement fund or not,
Sure.
But I loved this idea of, could we have crypto that that possibly could be used for all these other kind of applications, to pay websites, to buy things, to buy in-game assets and all these things. So that seems to be, I think Bitcoin's great. Digital gold is great, but I actually potentially think that sort of micropayments at a world scale attached to everything is actually potentially even bigger than Bitcoin. You know what I mean? In terms
Absolutely.
of the impact of that, right? So, I think we're far away from really seeing that in any way. But I thought that idea was amazing, right? When I saw that Ethereum, I was like, I just got to get involved. And I didn't really understand the problems with Ethereum. I didn't understand the problems of usability that users were going to have with crypto. I just sort of jumped in,
Sure.
and that's kind of, and so a lot of what we've learned is learned by mistake, right? So,
Well said.
I have a lot of experience. I've developed a whole complicated app on Ethereum, which I had to throw out because, we realized after spending all the time developing it, it's just the usability of the Ethereum is just not going to work, And I spent a year on that, so.
Wow.
And then I spent another year on, EOS, right? And, we built one of the leading, if not the leading wallet on EOS and outside of China. And, so I have a lot of experience with problems, I would say. It's not just, here's my vision, this is what I want to do. I ran my head into the wall several times. So I'm telling you, these are real problems. They're not just like me sort of saying,
Sure.
these are problems. So they're real serious things that we've ran into and then found solutions to.
Absolutely. So, as this journey is kind of developed for you, Fred, and, as Lynx kind of came into fruition here for you, you brought up a really good point in that is you're not just kind of creating the problems, that now you have a solution for. I mean, like, these have to actually be problems. And, you've kind of simplified that when you were speaking to me about it and with the apps and whatnot. But, before we let's go ahead and jump straight into Lynx real quick, because I think it's really important. Let's just hear what Lynx does, and then I have a question following that.
Okay, well, so what Lynx is? So Lynx is now the first real consumer blockchain, and I almost want to throw the word platform on there because
Sure.
It's not just a blockchain like all these other blockchains are, which are just a protocol. No, it is a product, right? So it's a wallet, it's a blockchain. In the same way that Apple builds stuff that just works, it has different layers in it, but this is just a product. This is like, you can come in here, you can create an account in 30 seconds. You can earn crypto by playing games, and then you can send crypto. It just works, right? So our approach is, instead of just worrying about technical infrastructure or even talking about that, let's remove all of that technical stuff. Let's make it as absolutely easy for the user to see. And let's build something where the user can come, they can get started very, very quickly. And they've got this crypto. They can use it for apps. They can use it. They can send it stuff, but it's super easy to use. That is essentially what we're doing, which is sort of the same vision that EOS sort of had a year and a half ago, but it just didn't work.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know,
Well, as you
and
noted earlier on, like part of this whole
yeah,
space has been, it's come to like a head. Every single project that's been created that had some momentum behind it, it ran into some sort of problem, and that usually had to do with it working, right? I mean, like it literally has to work, or that it doesn't have any users, right? And that's a huge problem with a lot of crypto companies. And I hear what you're saying. To me, there is nothing more that makes sense than what you're describing, like what you've just put out there. And that, I mean, and of course I know that you weren't quite finished explaining it, but this is why it's so special, folks, is that I believe Fred when he says things, people, and I believe him because he has a lot of credibility, and he's not here to ruin his credibility. He's literally here building something.
Our industry has a blatant disregard for usability. Okay.
Yep.
And I'll start with Ethereum and consensus, right? Ethereum, last I checked, which was yesterday, has a $16 billion market cap, right?
Yep.
But I would, if you put 100 people in a room and said install MetaMask and use Ethereum on one of these dApps, I bet you'd have two of them, maybe two of them within an hour that would be able to do it. It's a ridiculous level of usability relative to market cap. And, a lot of other companies just didn't even talk about it. They're just not interested in usability. So, whereas I think if you're looking at the internet world, right, the web, the Slacks of the world, the Twitters, the Facebook and Instagram, usability has now gotten so great, right?
Yep.
When you get one of these new apps from, you know that within 3 or 4 clicks, you're going to be on it, you're going to be doing something, et cetera.
Sure.
But crypto is just, it's very anti-user friendly. And a lot of people, and I think part of it has to do with the way crypto evolved, right? So it evolved from this mysterious guy, Satoshi, or girl, or whoever it is, right? Or people. And I'm pretty sure it's not Craig Wright, but,
I would agree.
But it's sort of this mysterious cyberpunk kind of
Sure.
person who codes and does all these complicated things, and I think that has been sort of the mantra of Bitcoin, right? And the mantra of crypto. It's sort of like it's got to be complicated. It's got to be very mathematical and computer science stuff. And look, I have a PhD in math, right? So I know a lot of math, but to me, you shouldn't have to know math or have to learn programming to use, Instagram. You know what I mean? You should just go there and use it, So I feel like
to your bank, or like when you log on to your bank. I mean, how much experience you have to have using the internet to use your bank? Minimal. You need to know how to press enter and type in the thing. That's it.
I think there's the culture of this, and if you look in 2017. Who are the companies who raised the most money? They were people who were like building these really deep protocols, and who had these people like Vitalik and Dan Larimer, and these sort of kind of quasi genius techie guys, right? So there was this cult of complicated and techie. And notice that you never heard anything about Ethereum ever being easy to use. Never,
Sure.
You never heard that from EOS either. And wallets and user interface and even customer service, right? These have never been brought up as values in the crypto world, right?
Sure. Well, Fred, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yep.
And obviously, I completely agree with everything you're saying. As far as the experience and even not just the UX but also the UI. Like, I mean, we're still lacking on that. Could you imagine if Apple tried to put out that product? They probably did at some point, and it probably failed. But a lot of this also is because whether you're putting out or pushing $1 million, or whether you're pushing out $5 in a transaction to somebody and wherever, you're in charge of all of your own money. There is no backup. There is no, insurance if something were to happen or if it was going to get stolen. So therefore, early on, and even now, I actually don't mind parts of how the complication may, be hard to overcome for new people, because if they really want it, they'll get in. Now, I do also agree that we're at a point now, if crypto really wants to evolve, and we'll have that discussion here shortly, Excuse me, but I mean, knowing that we have so much money, or maybe so much is at stake.
Yeah, it's fine if it's significant amount of money, Joe. But if I want to send you $2 or 20 cents, if it's more than one button to click, there's something wrong with that, right?
Agreed. And that's where, I mean, like I told you, I completely agree. And I wasn't necessarily disagreeing in any capacity, but being in charge of your money isn't always that easy. It's really a huge responsibility, and you don't realize it until you're about to lose it or you have already lost it.
Right.
Okay. Anyways, but going back to your point here is that it's got to be easy. And if it's not, we're missing out on a humongous sector of the entire world who could find this useful, right? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why crypto should be successful. Blockchain does work. We just got to make it easier. So what has Lynx done to combat this?
Okay, so we started from a very different place than anybody else, right? So we started from the wallet. So we built this wallet on top of EOS, right?
Nice.
That is super easy to use, as easy, and it has everybody loves our user interface. It was very well designed.
Tell us the name of that wallet real quick.
It's called the EOS Lynx wallet, right?
EOS Lynx wallet. And where is it at? Where could you find it if you wanted to use it?
Or Google Play,
Perfect.
And, on Play, you can really see it there's all these apps that are integrated directly into it.
Cool.
You can also download it on desktop. We have a desktop version with all these apps. And we have like 56 apps that are integrated into Lynx right
Awesome.
now. Yeah. So everything from like gambling, a lot of sort of games.
I got some friends that they just probably going to hear about this for the first time. It's about to get ugly.
I mean, sports betting, gambling, player versus player games, just a bunch of stuff, right? Now, and so all this stuff is great, and I think, and we built it on top of EOS, right? So that's we came to it from the consumer first perspective, and then back in February, we sort of realized that look, we are not going to be able to do what we want to do with EOS, and no disregard for everybody, the thinking of EOS and everything, but it's just EOS, just like Ethereum have some fundamental issues with like gas and all this stuff.
Sure.
EOS has other issues with RAM and staking, and accounts cost money on EOS. And so we basically looked at this and we said, listen, if we can start with EOS, if we can kind of surgically pull out everything we don't like and make it into something that'll actually work for a consumer, and then we can just seamlessly integrate it into our wallet, right? So that the user doesn't sort of think of it as a blockchain and a wallet. They just think of it as Lynx,
Sure.
And that's it. And so that's kind of what we've built. And, we've got it now. Mainnet is running. The wallet is running, and we have mainnet is available for some people. But on January 2nd, when we come back from New Year's, we're opening it up to everybody.
Wow. I mean, Bitcoin's birthday is January 3rd. Is there any correlation?
No. No, we just
coincidence.
We open it up today. It's all done, but our tech team wants to take Christmas off.
Fair. No, because I can imagine once mainnet's live, there is no time off. Crypto's 24/7.
Yeah, it's crypto 24/7, and also, our thing, we've got this sort of referral system in here, which we think has a really high chance of going very viral, where basically as you refer, so the tokenomics are sort of modeled after Bitcoin, which we love, right?
Sure.
It's just 21 million total coins, right? But, we're going to be mining a lot of these coins by you referring your friends or you playing games, okay? Sure. So if you refer a friend, you get one of these Lynx coins, currently worth about 40 cents, okay? But what I'm saying is, okay, so you invite 10 people, you get $4. And the great thing about this is that it takes only about 30 seconds to download the wallet and pick a username. It's exactly the same as Twitter, right? So you
Sure.
come in, you put your phone number, you verify your phone, you pick a username. You can be at Blackburn or at Joe Blackburn. You can't be at Joe because we require 4 characters minimum.
At Joe B.
Joe B, right? And now you're at Joe B, and then your question is, now what? Okay, now you need to get some links. Okay, so you play a game and you earn 0.1 links. Okay, So we have these 2 games that are free to play. You can win. Like, you can just win
by
links.
playing. Just by playing.
Yeah. So, and or you invite somebody. So invite one of your friends and you get a links. Okay.
That's
so,
cool.
and it's all built into the experience, right? So you can see, I've invited these 3 people. These guys I invited, they didn't join. This is my total earnings, etc. So it's really built sort of for a mass market, kind of with the intention of my 12-year-old can get it,
Sure.
And now you've got these links, coins. Well, then you can go to these apps and use these links, coins. So, if you want to go bet on, the
Cowboys beating the Packers.
You can use your 2 links coins and make a bet. You know what I mean?
There you go. And you can turn it into 4.
So exactly. So, but my point, or you can now send these links coins to anybody in the world. And it's, instantaneous because it's built on EOS.io. So now you're into crypto, right? So basically I can get you into crypto into 60 seconds. You're not going to
probably doing the same things that you would be doing on your phone, whether you're, waiting for the train or you're on the train, or whether you're, waiting for work to get over, playing a game on your phone.
Well, and I tell you, so a little bit of background into one of my companies. My 3rd company that I started was the largest game site on the internet. It was called, and it still exists, and it was called iwin.com.
Wow.
And iWin was the 20th largest site on the entire internet.
Whoa.
1999, 2000. It was the largest game site on the internet. We had 30 million users, 10 million monthly active users.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So, and you know what our number 1 game was? What? Solitaire. Okay. Sure. And why? Because everybody knows the rules, right?
Yep.
And so, and basically the value proposition was play solitaire, win these iCoins.
Wow. A little ahead of your time there, bud.
Yeah. And then basically you could take these iCoins, you could enter into raffles to win a cruise or win $1,000 and we gave away $5 million worth of prizes.
Wow.
In this company. And we sold the company for $100 million.
Wow.
So, we had and it was profitable. Okay. So it was profitable. We were doing $3 million a month in revenue. And it was the largest game site on the internet.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's incredibly impressive, regardless how you bring it up there. It's just what it shows me, and what people should gather from that bit of knowledge, folks, is that, you're listening to somebody who knows how to not just, build something that works, but he also knows how to make people engaged. And when you have the assurance of usability and that users are going to, Fred, I honestly, of all the people I've met in the space, you're one of the very few people that I would trust when it comes to, hey, is this person doing it right?
Do you think it's possible to have that work under Ethereum or EOS? No,
Correct.
Like if I was to try to get my iWin audience, which profile was a 35-year-old stay-at-home mom. That's the person who is playing solitaire, okay, and trying to win a few coins, okay? Now, if I'm trying to get that woman to win a few crypto coins, and I need her to install MetaMask on a Chrome browser, there's just no chance that she's and pay for gas and then go to Coinbase and buy it.
Yep.
Like each one of those things, you're going to knock off 95% of the audience. You're never going to get any users. And we're really seeing that on these dApps, right? Which is a lot of people have given up on this because they're like, well, there's not a lot of usage on dApps. And it's true, right? So if you look at Ethereum right now, I looked at it the other day, there is really the largest dApp is MakerDAI, right?
Sure.
That's the largest app. You know how many people are using MakerDAI a day?
I do not.
1,000.
Wow.
That's
wow.
nothing.
No, that's nothing.
It's nothing. The second largest app is Kyber Networks, which is used mainly to trade MakerDAI, right?
Sure, exactly. I mean, I've got more active users that on an hour on CCT than that, which is crazy.
Right. So my point is, you've got 1,000 people. So probably on Ethereum, if I really have to guess, I would say there's probably 10,000 people total that are really interacting with the Ethereum blockchain on a daily basis.
Yep.
And the thing's worth $17 billion.
Yep. Yep.
And
Man, that's crazy to think about. Jeez.
And if you look at EOS right now, it's been attacked by this sort of virus called IDOS right now. The number one app on EOS has like 200 users. It's like crazy numbers, right? So these things have just not been, they've not been successful, right? Like in terms of getting people through the funnel, proving that there's any interest, keeping them there. They just have not been able to do it, right?
Absolutely.
And so, so basically, that's where we're starting. So I'd say the bar is very low, and it's, we have to make it so much easier. And so, we thought with EOS that we could do that, right? We thought, okay, how can we do that with EOS? And what you're looking at there is sort of our EOS desktop and wallet. But
for those of you who are going to listen to the podcast, I just have a screen share right now with the actual Lynx website, which is lynxwallet.io. If you're interested in going there.
Tab there, you're going to see our chain. So that's the Lynx chain's the second tab there on that website.
All right.
It sort of talks about our new blockchain, right? So we have this wallet. We have 70,000 people who use this wallet, right? And these people have all paid for the wallet. We don't give away free wallets, right?
Sure.
And, our thing is, well, if we got 70,000 people to pay for this wallet, how many people would we have if the wallet was free?
Yep.
Well, it's not going to be 80,000. It might be 2 million. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
The difference between free and $1 is just enormous, right?
It's insurmountable at times for some folks.
Right. So,
especially if you're not actually needing it immediately, you're just going to pass it by and you may never look at it again.
Well, look, I mean, how many times has somebody forwarded you a New York Times article and you just don't, and there's a paywall, and
even if I want to read it, I'm like, absolutely not, 0% chance.
So, look, I think that people don't realize how important that the free accounts are with anything. And it's got to be free, and it's got to be also nothing to install on your Chrome thing. Well, I don't have Chrome. I use Internet Explorer. Oh, well, I'm out of luck,
Yep.
So we basically have to have something that works on desktop, something that works on iPhone, something that works on Android, and all three of them have to be as easy to use as Twitter, right?
Yep.
And to do that, it's not just a question of building a wallet. But you also have to, right now, there currently is no blockchain other than Lynx that will do that for you. And then on top of that, we sort of said, listen, since we're going to build, basically rebuild our own blockchain, and we have some great partners there, which is Crypto Alliance Ukraine, who built the EOS Jungle testnet. And so we basically partnered with them, and we said, listen, you guys understand the core of EOS. Can we do these things? And they said, yeah, we can and we should, because this is a great project, and we want to do this thing, with you. So it's not like I contracted some people, paid them hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything. No, it's like I basically rallied people around this vision of a very consumer-friendly blockchain, and people have built it for us, and have integrated it, and we've now integrated it with our front end. So that's kind of that's been the process. And, I think it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out in January, because there's really two things that are completely unique to crypto space. First of all, I think we have the only blockchain and front end solution where you can just go in there and literally 60 seconds afterwards, you're playing Bomb Sweeper and you're winning, which is basically like Minesweeper, right? Which we created this dApp in a week, and it's one of the top 5 dApps in EOS right now.
Legit.
And it's on Lynx, and you can win Lynx coins, right? And so that's the first thing, is the ease of use for the consumer, and the second thing is the ease of use for the developer. So what we've done is we've made it so you can take an app, you can copy and paste the source code, you can make a few changes, you can deploy it at 0 cost. Okay. Which means that, right now there's, everybody's talking about these dApps, and, like we have 50 of them. There's probably 200, 300 on EOS total. There's probably 1,000 total, 2,000 dApps. There's 3 million dApps in the dApp store, in the Apple store.
Sure.
Yeah. Like what we want to do is make it so that any college developer can come in, create an app in an hour or two, right? And just deploy it, and it's there, and their friends can use it. That's
For sure.
as a developer, and I wrote code. I wrote this. My first company was this photo editing tool, which got bought by Macromedia. Wow. And we were the first people to create layers in Photoshop, and we had this super consumer.
Look at you, man! That's amazing.
That was my invention, co-invented with Alvy Ray Smith, who is the founder of Pixar, by the way.
Wow!
And
the founder of Pixar, like Toy Story.
Yes. So here's the story. This is an amazing story, which is
Fred, I love how you're just like, get over it. Let's keep going.
I love this thing. So basically, what happened is my brother and I created this software. We wanted to build this paint program. So my brother was demoing Photoshop, which didn't exist on Windows yet, right? Sure. And he was demoing, and he goes, he said, well, now you make a selection, you float the selection, and you drop the selection. I go, well, I want to have the selections live. And he goes, you can't do that. I go, why not? He goes, that's not the way Photoshop works. And so I said, well, why don't we have multiple floating objects, And so we built that into our product. Wow. And the same day that we did that, Alvy Ray Smith, who was the founder of Pixar, or the original founder pre-Jobs, right? And Alvy Ray, we showed up at SIGGRAPH in Anaheim. The year was 1993. And we both had objects. And the first person who stopped by my booth was the CTO, Nathan Myhrvold of Microsoft. And, wow. And he stopped by and he said, how much? And we said, $99. And he goes, not the software, the company.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible, Fred.
That was the conversation. And then,
dude, I'm so proud for you, man. That is so cool.
I proceeded to give him the demo. I proceeded, 3 months later, we won Best of Comdex. I gave the demo to Bill Gates. But that, and then Bill bought Alvy Ray Smith's company.
Wow.
So they bought.
Have you met Bill Gates before?
Yeah, I met him. I gave him the demo.
Oh, like in person?
Yeah.
That's incredible, dude. How was he? Was he pretty cool?
Yeah. What?
Was he a pretty cool guy?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say much, but he was like, okay, show me this, show me that,
Yeah, legit. I mean, he's a superhero in the tech world, obviously, and he's done so much for the world with Windows and everything else, So
look, I think that and that was it wasn't even clear that photo editing would become what it is today. Digital cameras weren't even around then. Look, I'm just interested in tech. I want to see this. I know that this stuff's going to work. Okay, how it's going to work, it's very hard to say how this stuff's going to work. Like I knew social networking was going to get huge, and we built a social network thing. And we had Tim Draper was on our board, and and you know what? I talked to everybody in Silicon Valley, and not one of them thought Facebook was going to be big. Not one. Wow. People were even laughing at Facebook. They were like, that valuation of 100 million that Excel just put in, it's crazy.
Yep.
So it's really hard to predict where the future is, how it's going to work, but to me, it's like, it is absolutely 100% that we are going to be able to interact with apps all over the world and with seamless cryptocurrency that's going to be used as micropayments.
Absolutely.
That's my belief, right? And if I can help that process somehow, whether our company ends up getting acquired or acquiring other people or whatever, right? I think that's a good bet. That's a good place to put my energy.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do with Lynx. I'm trying to figure out how can we get this thing so it's super easy for people to get in. And we're not trying to compete with Bitcoin at all, right? So we're not looking at store of value. We're not looking at trading. We don't really want to. That's not interesting to us. What interests me is interacting with the game, right?
Yep.
And maybe paying a few coins to enter the game, or maybe buying some virtual good inside of the game, So like my 12-year-old loves Fortnite, right?
Sure.
And for him, it's all about these V-Bucks and these skins.
Absolutely.
This is
Yep.
this is his life,
Yep. And these V-Bucks and skins, which are not transferable, and they literally are only cosmetic. They give no advantage.
So one company that we're very close to is a company called Mythical Games, right?
Sure.
And you should look these guys up. They're ex Activision guys. So we're talking
Activision.
World of Warcraft kind of guys, like
Modern Warfare.
The lead product manager for World of Warcraft is John Linden, and some very great people there, right? And so they've built this game with sort of a Fortnite sort of style game, almost a Super Mario Maker type game, right? And there's all these skins, and the skins actually can be exported out, right? Wow, so that's the whole way that this stuff exists, and we help with that spec, right, which is called the DGood spec. And that's coming out next year, right? So
I cannot wait. That's and look, I'm not embarrassed to say such, but as you reference your 12-year-old, I'm a 34-year-old, and I still play Fortnite, right? I mean, I still find that enjoyment, and it is the idea of what Fortnite is and how much fun and addicting it can be. It overlaps on generations at this point.
Yeah, well, I can tell you the interesting thing was, I asked Vincent. Vincent wasn't at all interested in Lynx, right? So when he's always like, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, well, I got this wallet. He said, let me see the wallet. And I go, okay. Gambling apps. He goes, I'm not interested in that. And I said, and then I showed him the Blanco stuff. And he's like, holy cow. And I go, well, you can have Ninja. There's going to be these characters that are going to be signed by Ninja. And he's like, wow, oh my God. Can I get a signed Ninja thing?
Can I get a signed Ninja thing?
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like the idea of having this serialized, one of 500 signed Ninja things. And in your previous podcast, you're talking about baseball cards. This is the new baseball card. You know what I mean?
Yep, I completely agree.
This is the new
completely agree.
Yeah,
and you're ahead of this too, Fred. And I'll tell you the reason why. Like, I try to explain these things to people who, on a very basic level, who are not in the space yet, right?
Right.
And I think this is the perspective that me and you both share. We're compassionate to, and we're authentic enough in the way we're not trying to fake ourselves out or pretend like what is happening is going to work right now. I'm a little bit more optimistic about the market than a lot of people are, and sometimes that can be to a fault. But I do look at, what is the future of this interactability on the internet, right? People are interacting on a social level. They're interacting on a monetary level. But one thing that they haven't been able to do is more of a live a life on the internet, which is coming with as interconnected as the whole world is at this point. It's not becoming less interconnected. It's becoming substantially more, probably doubling on a year or every 2-year basis at this point about how important the internet is to the world. And I don't see this getting anything other than just more important, obviously. And I think that's probably the easiest prediction to make. Now,
I think it's going to explode. It's just a question of when. But exactly. I think it's absolutely ballistic bananas in the same way that the internet was ballistic bananas.
Exactly right. And you are what I consider is that visionary that people have watched this space come and go and projects live and die. But what you have here is you have an internet. And that's what people need to see this as, is when you're talking about dApps and being able to host these dApps, folks, you got to see what Fred is talking about. He's not talking about building a cryptocurrency that you can transfer fast, although you can. That's not the only intent here, right? The intent is to build the host for this new era of apps, this new era of monetization, this new era of being able to monetize your own time. And look at what's happening already. Like we're all here for a reason already, right, folks? You've seen something, whether it's profits, whether it's the future, whether it's revolution. There's a reason why you're here. Come look at what is actually working at this point. Now, obviously, mainnet's not open yet, and that's coming up, Fred. But let me ask you this question, dude. As impressed as I am with everything that you've pretty much said today, and I completely agree with essentially everything that I can understand, at least, because you speak at a very high level, and I'm proud to be able to have this conversation with you. But when we're talking about the people who have no idea or have very little knowledge of crypto, how does Lynx combat or even push up against that rhetoric that we hear so often from the media or from, grandma or from, Uncle Jim, whoever it might be, about it just being another cryptocurrency, or I thought crypto died. Like, how do you market this? What is, because this is bigger than what people realize at this point. This has an opportunity.
So a lot of people think blockchain, not crypto. I actually think crypto, right? So
you said that offline too. I appreciate the way you said it.
So I really think that what really is crypto to me, crypto is all about these tokens, okay? And there are really two kinds. There's tokens like Lynx, right, which are sort of, they go up and down in value, and there's a finite number of them like Bitcoin. And then there's these kind of non-fungible tokens, right, which are like the baseball card, right?
Sure.
Those are the two kinds of tokens that are going to be around, right? And all we're talking about is enabling apps to understand and use these kind of tokens, right? That's it. So, it's really about, can we get a lot of useful apps to be built that accept these tokens?
Sure.
And those could be a game. They could be it could be something where you're selling a service. Like, I will sell you 1 hour of consulting with Fred Krueger for 300 links.
Sold. I'll take it right now.
So that's the kind of thing. So or it could be a ticket to a Taylor Swift concert. You know what I mean?
I'll take that too, by the way. I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan.
But I'm just saying, like,
agreed. Yes.
So those are all sort of digital items, right? And I think that's the way I sort of see this world, right? Is that we're moving into this world of digital items, right? And they could, by the way, it could be a subscription to the the inner circle of crypto coin trader, right?
Sure.
which is again a digital crypto item, right? That if you have in your wallet,
ticket, yeah.
It's like it's a pass. It's like a season pass on skiing, right? Could also be a digital item, right? So I think the world of these digital items that are, they're crypto, they're cryptographically signed, they live in a crypto wallet, they're yours, that world is where I think we're going. Whereas when you talk to people about yet another coin that you can send to people and they should buy, I'm not interested really, But when you talk about people about these apps, and they say, well, the app uses this token, now you can get this token. People understand that, because that's exactly what Fortnite is, right? The only thing is they just stop you from taking the item outside of Fortnite.
Absolutely. I mean, like you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you try to put a quarter in the machine, it's not going to work. You got to have the Chuck E. Cheese token, period. I mean, people they completely understand. And although not comparing Chuck E. Cheese and what you're doing, obviously, but just the simplistic nature of what that means. You walk in, you exchange your dollar, you get this. With that, you can now engage and play. You can win, whatever it might be. Exactly.
Would you like to take out your American Airlines miles into your wallet?
Oh my gosh, please. I don't fly enough, whenever they allow me to use them.
Right. So to me, it's like we've got all these point systems and Starbucks rewards and all this junk, right? We've got these virtual things, but we need to make these things now more fungible, that I can move them around, I can send them to people, I can do all this stuff, right? And that's kind of what I think that's where I think the crypto stuff is. And so it's not really, and look, our Lynx token is, it's going to be the currency of Lynx, but you could have an app that uses Chuck E. Cheese tokens and it doesn't use Lynx token. It runs on it runs on the Lynx blockchain,
Love it. Yep.
And we support that,
Oh, and here's the thing: this system is the system's already working in real life and has been for decades, right? We're just trying to explain to folks, and you're building it. I'm trying to make sure people hear this, is that, to be able to take the whole concept of people using, some sort of value on something. And again, we're not talking about trading here, folks. We're talking about literally making your life easier. And that's what the blockchain and crypto and Bitcoin are doing. And Fred, I'm so honored to be able to have this conversation, but more importantly, so that other people can hear this, because we're so used to people coming into this space, been making some money, whether they fail or succeed after they've got $22 million raised. It sucks. They're not going up to angel investor being like, look, dude, your money's gone. They're going up to, the internet saying, hey, give me your money. I'm going to build something. When it fails, they just got to hear about it on Twitter, right? They can turn off Twitter. I love that you're building this for the right reasons, for the right audience, and with this reverse engineering, concept, this idea that, we don't have to reinvent everything. We just got to make this work and go with what has already worked in the other aspects. It's beautiful, Fred.
Here's the thing that we have to do is we have to sort of take away some of the stuff that everybody thinks you need to do in crypto. And I'll give you a very good example, right? Which is every single crypto wallet you've ever seen has got something which is, here's your 12 keys, write them down on a piece of paper and come back and make sure you re-enter them and do all this, right?
Yep. Don't lose them.
Now, if you're coming to some new app, right, and you have to write down 12 keys on a piece of paper, okay, like I guarantee you that 6 out of 10 people, or maybe higher, will not want to go through that process.
I completely agree. I mean, it's a deterrent even for me.
It's a big deterrent to discover some new thing. So, you know what? A better solution is don't ask them for keys. Don't worry if they lose their keys, because if they don't have anything in their wallet, it doesn't matter if they lose their keys. Start a new wallet, create a new wallet. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? If it's free to create a wallet, and doesn't matter, they should be disposable, these things, right? On the other hand, if the guy has $100 in their wallet, put a message saying, hey, you may want to back it up. Click here to back it up, And so, that's the kind of stuff we need. We need to start thinking through these things more from a usability standpoint rather than, my Ether wallet or that kind of first generation of wallets, which are, they're just.
We're past that.
We're past
that. We should
that.
be at least.
I think we need, or even Bitcoin wallets, right? Which are, here's your hash. You know what I mean? 3 confirmations. What does the average person understand the word confirmation? No. No, they don't. You know what I mean?
Not in the right context, at least.
I mean, and so I think these are some, and in the EOS world, it was developed, and there was these really weird ideas of staking, right? Now, I think when you ask people about staking, what they go, what do you mean, like staking tomatoes, putting stakes in vampires? I have no idea.
Right? Yeah.
What does staking mean? And then then you explain. Well, here's the thing: you have to lock up your coins for 3 days, and then you get them back. You can unstake them, but you can't unstake them 2 days. You have to wait 3 days to unstake them. Well, try explaining that to a consumer. It is not. A consumer will never understand that. Imagine you're going to Instagram and you really, really see this great. You want to create the selfie. You're about to. Oh, I'm sorry. You need to stake some Insta coins. What? Stake some Insta coins? Use this? Like, what? Are you crazy?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's a really good perspective, by the way.
So I think that this notion of staking is crazy, right? So the notion that you need to stake and buy RAM, like, how does a normal person understand RAM? Like, it's crazy. Or to get a message saying you're out of CPU. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, man, it's the worst.
Imagine going on Instagram or Twitter and say, I'm sorry, you're out of CPU. People are like, what happened? Did my phone just break? So there's just sort of like this complete lack of common sense as far as how these things have been designed and stuff. So when we started Lynx, we sort of said, okay, let's put some things that we absolutely have to have. Number one, we have to have free accounts. There can't be sort of free. You can get, no, it's got to be free.
Sure.
You want an account, come in, it's free. Number two, there can't be any notion of staking or CPU or network or RAM or anything like that, or gas.
Yep.
You can't have that, right? The user has to come in and just use an application.
Yep.
And number three, the transfers always have to happen, and they have to happen fast. You can never be like network congested ever.
Sure.
The minute you start having that, people like lose faith in this.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and EOS was great when it first came out. I would demo it to people and on our wallet, and I'd say, look, I just sent you something, and it was 2 seconds later. People would be like, oh, that's fantastic. I got it. So you gave it to me now. That's great.
Yep.
But you try doing that right now, and the transaction won't go through. And you need to have 50 EOS staked for the thing to go through. It's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
So like, I don't know when EOS when it sort of reopens, but I'm guessing they've just lost half their users. You know,
if not more,
well, if not more, because like you can't do that to people and expect them to like trust you after that. You know, it's sort of like it's sort of like lying to people. You know, they realize that you've lied, and so I just feel like those are to me the must-haves. You must be able to have a free account. You must be able to always send something to somebody else. Now, an app cannot work, and an app can say this app's not working. Websites stop working.
Sure.
You get
under maintenance
or whatever, But like transferring tokens has got to work. Free accounts has got to work, and then at the same time with respect to apps, an app you can't make it too complicated on the app developer either, right? Because if the app guy has to like sort of manage their CPU, their network, or gas, or pay money to deploy their contract, ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Well said.
Basically, what we need to have is a system where it's okay. I can build a very basic app and deploy it very simply, without anybody's permission. Just get it, put it on the net. You know what I mean?
Yeah, amazing.
And that's sort of what we built is something where it's so simple. And I haven't coded for 20 years, and I got in there, I went into the code, I changed something, I deployed it, I put it on main.
Beautiful.
You know what? I did the hello world and I changed it to hello Fred. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And it was deployed on mainnet, and it works, and you can take links and you can pay, and you can get 3 random lottery numbers, right?
Dude, does it please tell me it still says hello Fred?
It says hello Fred, yeah.
Yes. I mean, you could be like the Tom of MySpace.
Well, look, I mean, what I want to do is, I remember when I was at Stanford, I was in the math department, I was coding up these math things. And I love the fact that I could code things up on one of the very first PCs and deploy it and send it to people and say, here's my program. I want to give that same feeling to the next generation, or
for sure,
of Stanford, or whatever college, doesn't matter, or high schoolers,
absolutely,
because there's a lot of good high school coders right now, and they
a lot of good 12-year-old coders right now.
There's 12-year-old coders, absolutely, right? Yep. So, it should be possible to create a little program, deploy it, not spend any money at all, right? And show your pals, right? And have your pals interact with that program and with crypto. That's my goal, right? And so if I can get the average 12-year-old to create a little game or a little program or a little something, right? And have his other 12-year-old friends interact with that program, and he gets more crypto or some, non-fungible token or something.
Yep.
That's what we need, right? So we have to develop that ease of use, both on the consumer side and on the developer side. And now the question is, okay, well, now you want to scale it. Okay. Now you want to use up a lot of resources, and you got something that's really popular. Well, yeah, you're going to have to pay for it. Okay. Just like you have to pay to Amazon Web Services and anything other
else. Nothing's free.
Else, right? It's software as a service.
Yep.
And as you scale, you pay more.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Even there, it has to be very simple, right? You have a website. The more traffic you have, you go into different tiers. You go from the simple tier to the next tier, to the next tier, to the next tier. 100%. You pay. And so the way we have structured Lynx is basically we have these block producers, right? And listen, we're in a non-inflationary thing. So it's basically the tokens like Bitcoin, right?
Yep.
So basically what we have is the apps are going to be charged, into a pool through a smart contract. That pool goes to the block producers. So they're just like distributed AWS nodes. They're just
awesome.
They're just validating the transactions.
Yep.
And basically, the more app usage, the more they're going to make, right? So it's a very scalable thing, right?
Yep.
And so
incentivized. Having an incentive in that capacity is obviously very important, I think, in this space.
So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I think the bar is, as I said, super low. Right?
It is.
There's not
the lowest.
there's not a lot of DApp activity. I mean, like honestly, we could have more activity on like something like solitaire than on all of crypto right now. I mean, it's like,
I mean, you've proven that. Back in 1999.
And the internet was 1/20th or 1/40th the size it is today.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know,
it's crazy.
I mean, look, something, if you look at, so that's why I'm so bullish on games, right? If you look at Facebook, what really made Facebook was Mafia Wars and Farmville, right?
Oh, dude, I've slayed some Farmville. I grew some corn now.
So, like, I think Farmville would do really well on the crypto. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I really think that would do great, and like, it's social. You have people like lending you corn to do this, right? You get your friends to help contribute. There's this notion of virtual goods, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of elements to me that suggest that something like Farmville could work really, really well for crypto.
Sure. Even like, it just, my thought process here is like, I can't remember the name of it because I wasn't really that into it. Although I participated a lot for a few months, or maybe even a month or so. But there was that game show on Facebook where you could literally like log on. I mean, like you were on Facebook. It was like every night at 9, and then you guessed like 10 answers. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it was like a phenomenon for like 2 months straight, maybe 3, maybe even longer than that. I remember last summer.
Or what?
Yeah, and it was a live show. The guy came on. He had like 10 questions, and the people who finished last, I mean, who answered every question correctly, split the pot.
HQ trivia.
Yep, that's it.
Okay,
that's it.
Yeah, look, I built one of those things for EOS. Now the problem is like, how I can't. Well, I built it. I partially built it, but I think that's a great model, right?
Yep.
But in order to get something like that working, you got to get these. You can't charge people for accounts.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yes,
it's got to make sense. Obviously, it has to work for that to be. But I could just see something like that exploding.
Who wants to be a millionaire? I mean,
absolutely.
These are great. These are great formats, right?
Yep.
Jeopardy.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was great.
Jeopardy. Like Family Feud. I mean, these are. Imagine playing Family Feud. Okay, which still I love. I still
absolutely
love that game, right?
Yep. My dad watches it all the time.
Imagine being able to play Family Feud and win coins from your home and play along with the game. Right?
Yep.
And we had those ideas. We had, by the way, Family Feud. We merged with a company called Uproar before selling it to Vivendi at iWin. And they had the rights to Family Feud, right?
Goodness gracious. Fred, who are you, man? You're like a magician and a Bigfoot all together.
I was at the right place in the right time, and I've been.
You're humble.
Like
you worked hard,
but that's. I think it's a lot of it's timing, right? Like I went to Stanford, and at the time when I got out, Mark Benioff, who started Salesforce, was a friend. I was the first person to see Salesforce.
Wow.
Mark showed me Salesforce, and he goes, "Fred, I want you to be the first person to see this thing."
Wow.
I go, "What is it?" And he goes, "It's Salesforce.com." And I go,
"Wow."
I said, "Why couldn't you pick a better name? What happened to Sales.com?" And he said, "Well, I couldn't get it. Yeah, that was what was the other guy's? Siebel. Siebel had that one. So he goes, that was Tom Siebel. He got it, but I invested in Tom Siebel, so I'm good anyways."
Nice.
And he goes, "Why don't you invest in the Salesforce thing?" I said, I'd be happy to be your first investor." And then he said, and then I called him up 3 weeks later. I said, "What happened to where's my terms? I'll be your first investor."
Sure.
And he said, no. Larry Ellison just did my A round, the complete round. And I go, "What?" And so, and he goes, "You can participate in the next one." And you know what? I never got the phone call for the next one.
Hey, but you know what? You've done all right.
I would have been. That's roughly about a $500 million mistake.
Okay, I'm not going to say you're going to be all right. I get it. I hear you, and I hate that for you.
The right time. I think we are in the right time with the crypto.
Agreed.
I don't think to me this is like Act 1.
Yep.
The 2017 debacle with ICOs was Act 1. Forget it. Going back to Bitcoin, I'm actually really bullish on Bitcoin.
Me too.
I think Tom Lee has really convinced me. Crypto as an asset class, crypto is going to do great.
Yep.
I think Bitcoin is probably the play. And by the way, I think crypto is dependent on Bitcoin, right? So like I think these alts are only, so Tom's perspective, he's smarter than me as far as analyzing these things, and his perspective is stocks and Bitcoin are positively correlated, not negatively correlated, right? So that basically market hits all-time high, which it's pretty much at right now. Bitcoin hits all-time high. That's the next phase. We have to get through this mess. We have to hit an all-time high.
Sure.
Okay. Once Bitcoin hits an all-time high, then we get back to the next thing. Okay, what are the other alts stories? Okay.
Yep.
Well, we got to get through this FUD and everything else around like, well, is crypto even a good thing? Blah blah blah. I think So I think I buy that we will see stocks at an all-time high, then Bitcoin at an all-time high, and once Bitcoin gets there, then people are going to start saying, well, okay, great, I missed that one.
Yep.
But
Yep. No, agreed. And once they have a little extra money because their Bitcoin's gone up, they'll be more likely to spend it on these, potential lottery tickets.
Yeah. Does that happen in 2020? I don't know. Do I think it happens by 2021? Probably.
I agree with that.
I would argue that very high likelihood that Bitcoin goes back to 20,000, and then the minute it gets close, I think it's going to blow right through it.
Yep. Agreed.
Then we're going to be like, okay, 50,000. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
well, I mean, if you think back, and I know you're relatively new to the entire space on a time period, but you've indulged yourself and you've really learned, about the space on a really high level.
I own some Bitcoins at Mt. Gox, right?
Okay. Oh, so you have been. Okay. That makes more sense. I was like super impressed.
Right? Yeah. When I kind of heard about it in 2013 and, and I bought some on Gox,
Sure.
And then I was like, okay. And I lost them in the Gox debacle, right? But it was insignificant amounts, right? Mm-hmm. Just play money. But
sure.
And that's after that, I was like, okay, well, that was a stupid idea,
Fair. And I can't blame you. But, I'll even go back to something I've been saying for a long time. And that is 2017 happened and the space wasn't ready for the attention. When 2020 or 2021, whenever that next run is, that big run, clearly, the space has to be a little bit more mature and prepared for use case and adoption. And Fred, I can't think of a project that's doing more for that than you at this moment.
Here's the thing. The next bull run in these alts is all going to be based on user numbers, right?
Yep.
That's where that, it's going to be, it's the companies that show that they can get the users are going to be rewarded, right? And the companies that talk about grand plans for, crypto on government or crypto on this, and I don't know, like, and not to knock these like logos and stuff, but I saw Richard Hart out there with like this hexagon and these hexagon earrings and all the rest, and like we got to get beyond this kind of like these chestahedrons and these these hexagons and weird stuff, like, and people dressing like Burning Man and everything else.
Agreed completely.
This is just like, come on, man. This is not mainstream. This is not what's going to drive mainstream America.
There's a lot of people who will argue that point with you that this is a revolution, and it doesn't have to not be able to do both, and I agree. You isolate the space when you act a certain way and you don't encourage others who may not be familiar or comfortable with that mindset, that idea, or that way of doing things. But I'm a big libertarian as far as personal liberties go. I don't tell people that they're wrong, because I don't know what they're doing, but I completely agree with what you just said.
Look, here's the thing. Does, back in 2017, the internet discussion and dialogue was dominated by people like Sean Ironstag and I forget the woman's name, but
I know what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking about. And these kind of people, I think these people, this kind of stuff is toxic, and
it is,
look, and
divisive.
It's toxic, divisive, and it's not what you want for mainstream, right? And what I think is pretty clear what mainstream adoption looks like. It looks like Instagram, okay, or TikTok or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But
Snapchat.
Snapchat or Slack. These are great. This is what it should look like. And by the way, Lynx looks like that. You know what I mean? So
Agreed.
but I think I'm pretty open and you can look my LinkedIn up and everything, and it's like, but and everybody, we're an American company. We're not Russian or anonymous or anything else, and so I think that's I think there was this kind of selling these crazy dreams and phase of crypto. I hate to think that I think that was a phase that we're going to go through, but I think the next phase is going to be a lot more corporate. You know what I mean? It's going to be
100%.
It's going to be a lot more like like Libra could have been, right?
Yep.
If I look at that Calibra wallet, it's good looking,
and I bet it's pretty simple.
And I could sort of see myself using something like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And obviously it was knocked by all these senators and stuff. But look, that was it felt like a product that was totally usable, and you would have had hundreds of millions of people use it like day one
immediately. Exactly.
And that's and to me that stuff is gonna happen. Didn't happen in 2019. Like Facebook wanted. But this stuff's gonna happen. Something.
Well, it's a precursor. Yep.
It was, that was the prequel, right? But
yep.
Within, let's just say 2 years, you can be guaranteed that something like that is going to take off.
100%.
And I don't know who's going to do it. It could be Spotify. It could be Google. It could be
Fred Krueger.
It could be Fred Krueger. Who knows?
Freddy Krueger, by the way, which I'm sure is not the first time you've ever heard that.
Right.
Hey, so we are winding up on our time on here, Fred, but I always finish with this quick fire, and I'm really excited to kind of get your thoughts on this. I don't know if you've listened to one of the shows all the way through, but at the end, I ask a series of unrelated, lighthearted, fun questions. You feel free to pass if you don't want to answer one. Obviously, this is for fun, and this is never something I would want anybody to take overly serious, including yourself, as the person who's answering it. But it's a fun part of this. I like letting people know that you're still a real human, to have this connection as, look, I could be building this, working on this. I understand what's going on in the space, but you know what? We're the same. I got a favorite movie. This is what I think about Bitcoin. This is what, anyway. So without further ado, if you're ready to go, I'm going to go. All right. First one, favorite movie of all time. If you have to say two, you're allowed to.
2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh, classic. Yes. All right. I mean, that's a great one, right? Stanley Kubrick, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
All right. Bitcoin as a political party, yes or no?
No.
All right. And we'll go into my favorite question next. And that is through the course of human existence, not necessarily what happened before humans were walking around the earth. Have aliens ever interacted with Earth? Extraterrestrial.
I'm saying no.
You're gonna say no, man. You want to expand on that?
I think I think there probably are aliens.
Sure.
However, I think they're so far out in terms of distance from us. I mean, the universe is so vast. I think there's 100% certainty there are aliens out there. 100%. Okay. And chance of them interacting with Earth, 0. The distances are too big.
As a mathematician, I can understand why you would say it that way. Yep.
Yeah. So look, I mean, we're thousands of light years away from the nearest galaxy.
Yep.
You can't go faster than light. At least we don't think so. And so the chance of somebody actually interacting with us, not high.
Fair.
It's a probabilistic thing. So
I have a question for you though. Okay. And this is my original, I posted on Facebook. You can go back and look at it. Probably 2 years ago, I made this comment and it sparked a lot of answers. Some people acted like they knew what they're talking about. Some people agreed. Some people disagreed, whatever. But as far as the speed of light, okay. And I mean, I value your opinion. Obviously, if you can be really nice to me when you're telling me I'm an idiot, I'd appreciate the, I mean, it is my show, right? I'd hate to be disrespected on it, but this is my thought process. If you have two spaceships right here, right?
Okay.
And they both go the opposite direction at the speed of light.
Yeah.
Are they not, if you look backwards, is that not leaving at the speed of light? Obviously, as humans, we wouldn't be able to recognize that, but if you can't, like, if that speed exists because two are going opposite directions inside of that space, that's the speed, twice the speed of light.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Now that's the paradox, right? Which is, and basically Einstein solved this thing in 1905, right, with special relativity. And his thinking was this: if I'm traveling on the speed of light, right, and I throw a ball,
yep,
let's say the ball's going at the speed of the light,
yep,
how fast is the ball going relative to an observer who's in front of you?
Speed of light plus 20 miles per hour.
No, it's going at the speed of light. That's the crazy thing. It's totally unintuitive, right? But
it's so hard to conceptualize.
Well, and the reality is what something has to break in the equation, right? And the equation is that time slows down. It's totally, you think of time as sort of this finite thing that doesn't vary, but actually
Sure.
time varies. And as you're going faster, time slows down.
Well, and we also we're at a disadvantage because our time is set by physical objects that are moving that dictate those times, which is the sun and the earth, right? And 24 hours. And
the notion of time is your notion of time is sort of
it is, yes.
Time is incorrect.
Relative only to the earth. Not even, you can't use this anywhere else.
There's all these weird things that happen when you go fast, like towards the speed of light. Time dilates, okay? And actually, as you approach the speed of light, it actually almost stops, right? So if you really are going really, really, really fast towards the speed of light and you come back, like you won't age, but everybody else will be dead. And that's sort of this quote unquote twin paradox of Einstein. So it's very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And so basically there's sort of a mathematical constant in physics, which is sort of the speed of information, really. It's and sort of light has that speed, but it's the speed of information propagation in the universe. It has a speed limit, which is 276,000 miles per second, right? Which is that.
I don't want to believe you.
it happens to be true.
So my Star Trek excitement in my own head that I live every evening when I turn on Netflix and turn on, I'm on Voyager season 4 right now. That's impossible. Yeah, basically. I don't like you anymore, Fred. You've just ruined all my things, and I will do this in an ignorant way.
Wait, I
disagree.
I'm going to recommend to you Lawrence Krauss, The Physics of Star Trek. So Lawrence Krauss is this physicist, and he spent all this time with the Star Trek crew trying to tell them about why everything was fake. And so one of the things that they have is when you accelerate towards the speed of light, Newton's law says that first law says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So as you accelerate, you push back in your seat. Yep. Well, if you accelerate at the speed of light, you're turned into mush because of the inertial forces. So he goes, how do you deal with that on Star Trek? And he goes, and they basically, the writers say, very effectively, we deal with inertial dampeners they came out with. Nice, yeah. How did they work? And the answer was, they work very well. That's not an answer, right? But there is no way to inertial dampeners. That doesn't happen. There's no possible physical solution to that. You will be turned into mush if you accelerate it towards the speed of light very quickly. Fair enough. But what doesn't work? Okay, so obviously this is a show about cryptocurrency, and I could continue to ask you questions because I'm exceptionally interested in what you just said. You might be the smartest person I've ever talked to, Fred. So therefore, I have a lot of questions. But we'll save that for next time because, as I said, I do want to finish off with my favorite question, or my second favorite question, as the aliens ones typically is my favorite. And, but here's the other one that gets a lot of the interest up, and a lot of people want to know about. Feel free again to pass. I know this is not financial advice, people, but Bitcoin, could it never be $1 million? Yes. I'm going with $1 million. That's, by the way, Tom Lee's number. And love it. I think we will hit $1 million in our, certainly in your lifetime. Yep. Probably within my lifetime as well. And that's why I think everybody should own at least one Bitcoin. Sure. Why not? You know, it's only 21 million people can ever own one Bitcoin, right? So it's definitely, if it's not certain, it's definitely possible, right? And it's not a 0% chance. And especially the way we're printing money right now, I think probably
Exactly.
likely, that they'll hit 1 million. So
Yep. I always do answer that when I have that question asked to me. And I say, more than likely, I do think Bitcoin will reach $1 million myself. I just think that it's going to come at the expense of collapsed economies across the board. And unfortunately, that may or may not be the case. But that's the likely scenario for me to see Bitcoin hitting $1 million. But I agree. And as a mathematician like yourself, you probably can do the math and figure out that, hey, Bitcoin's kind of rare, folks. There's only 21 million that will ever be existing. And a lot of that's already been lost, or a portion of that has been lost. So, but we'll leave it at that for now, Fred. Anything that we missed? Anything you want to state?
No, I just love the show, and listen, I'm a listener too, So I think to me this is your show. You and Pomp are the two guys that I feel are really good at digging into. I think there's something really interesting that's happening here, almost from a societal point of view with crypto.
Sure.
And I think you guys are sort of great at kind of digging through that human story of what does this all mean from a human point of view? And I don't really even 100% understand it, but like, it's definitely, we're going into a new world, right?
Yep.
That not so much governments, that you can kind of take your coins with you and move to Iceland, like, you know what I mean? That, yep. I think we're headed into that world, and that's that freedom. And look, I'm a libertarian like you. Like, I love this idea. I love the idea of not having to register with these banks, and I just love that freedom. That and I do think we're going to get there in the next 10 years. I think we are going to see a world where a lot of people live outside of the banking system, and their net worth and their savings are in crypto digital assets, and that they can take those assets with them anywhere. They can give them to whoever they want. And I think that's a basic human right, that I think
absolutely is.
I think we're going to, people don't really realize it, but it's sort of like owning your own digital assets is going to emerge as a human right. And I think there will be people, I think the United Nations will recognize this as a human right at some point, that you should be able to own your own assets. And I
love the way you just said that.
Cannot be taken away from you. And that's number one thing about crypto is that they're mine. You know what I mean? Now, we got to make sure that they really are yours and there's no backdoors, and
sure.
We got to figure all this stuff out, and look, as a wallet maker, I have a lot of responsibility, right? Because there's a lot of money on these wallets, and look, it's non-custodial, and you got to trust Fred Krueger that I'm not going to put backdoors in there and stuff, But I would like to figure out the more non-custodial, completely. That's the vision, I think, of the future, that I think is amazing, right? That if we can have this world where we all can just kind of roam the world, and take our crypto with us,
Literally, you don't even have to carry it. You just have to have access to the internet somewhere in a computer.
That's the dream, right? And that you could live and you can interact with you and earn money, right?
Absolutely.
And earn and interact with this world and earn a living.
Yep.
Through crypto, and move anywhere on this planet and have access to this crypto.
Absolutely. Well, and Fred, like, as the population continues to grow in the world, jobs are going to have to evolve with what is necessary, and the jobs are evolving as we're speaking. And you're living proof of that. Just being able to create something.
That was our first app that we started on this crypto thing. We wanted to build sort of a crypto Fiverr, right?
Yep.
And I still think that this is a great use case for crypto, is just paying people, right?
Yep.
And I think
it's the number one use case right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think look, I think I think a lot of people are going to be paid in crypto, 10, 20 years from now. I think that's not just going to be the odd freelancer in Latvia.
Yep.
I think it'll be the guy next door.
Absolutely.
The guy next door, and in Georgia or wherever, it doesn't matter. So
not to mention, I don't know if you saw the episode when I had Watford FC, the football club. I don't know if you're a sports guy either, but this is in the Premier League. This is the biggest league in all of sports, bigger than the NFL, bigger than whatever league you want to talk about. The Premier League in the UK is the most watched sport league in the world,
right.
And Watford is now sponsored semi-anonymously by a group, and they have Bitcoin on their shoulder. And every time a goal is scored, they raise their arm. The public sees Bitcoin. How much credibility is that? That's incredible, is it not?
I think we're in the very beginning stages of this thing. I really don't think it's going to be. I think we're just like fumbling around in the dark. And I like to tell my people. Some of my co-founders say, "Well, Fred, you're well respected and stuff." I go, "Listen, this is the blind leading the blind right now.
Sure.
We really don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know. And I am humble in that sense because I don't know. Right? I don't know. Can Microsoft come up with something? Can Facebook just everything's possible right now? Could the government's trying to do something in California now, where they're trying to weigh in on blockchain regulation? I mean, what a terrible thing,
Absolutely.
but I don't know how it's going to play out. I have some suspicions of how we can make it more usable, and that if I can help at least on that, and I think when people see Lynx and they come see what we built in the next couple months, I think it's going to reset the bar as to people going, okay, we kind of need to do that. You know what I mean?
I cannot wait. And Fred, I don't think there's a person who's more ready for that than you. And I know you may or may not agree with that. But
listen, I hope. Look, I'd love to come back in a couple months, and and get you as an active Lynx user and have some apps, and maybe you have some ideas for apps.
Absolutely. I consider that done, and whatever you need, right? So
I'd love to offer some kind of thing. We'll think of something for the crypto coin trader your users.
Yep.
We'd love to give them some promo to get some them to get links and get the wallets and use the invite codes and everything. So
absolutely. And we'll hash through that, Fred. It's been a pleasure to have you on. I'm very thankful for not
a little bit on time.
Of course. And absolutely. I just want to let you know on a personal level, I'm very fond of you. I think very highly, and I'm honored, as I said several times, to have you on the show. And I look forward to our next interaction. And I can't wait to that till the mainnet's open for everybody to see what you built.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. See ya.
Absolutely. All right. Bitcoin Radio. Until next time, we're here at WBTC where Bitcoin lives. Look, you know what I'm doing for Cryptoverse. We heard what Fred's doing. What are you doing for it? All right. It's all of our responsibilities. We got to take care of it. See you soon.